Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org, for more info, or you can email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Steffen P. Russak. We'll be discussing his fantastic book, Around the World in 12 Years and 12 Square Meters, Memories and Insights. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or if you guys want to get everything that Steffen has to offer, do yourself a favor and go directly to his personal site, aroundtheworldin12years.com. And just so you guys are aware, 12 is the numerical 12, so 1, 2, and then years is spelled out. It's not the abbreviation. So one more time, that's aroundtheworldin12years.com. And I will say, Steffen was brought to our network today by some of the best movers in the business, Parchment Global Publishing. So if you have a book that you'd like moved, move it through Parchment. You can find them at parchmentglobalpublishing.com. And guys, listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Steffen here on the line because his book we're discussing today, right there in the title, you have an idea of what to expect. But what makes this so compelling is it's a direct narrative, okay? So Steffen actually is really articulating to his listening audience his particular journey in which he traveled around the world with his wife. And it's an amazing narrative that goes through all of his wonderful experiences. And the underlying message is something that is so wonderful, something that really is so universal and we can all get behind. How it is so important to understand each other. At the end of the day, guys, there may be differences between you and I. We may look different. We may act different. We may have different opinions. But at the end of the day, we still have to at least maintain a certain understanding of each other. Because when we understand each other, we understand each other's cultures. There's a certain amount of respect that is naturally just underlying with that. And that is something that is so beautiful, something that we love to discuss here all of the time at People of Distinction. We're constantly talking about our connectivity amongst each other, amongst our human family. So without further ado, let's bring him here with us. Steffen, first and foremost, thank you so much for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And I want to thank you for this nice introduction and for your kind words towards me. That's very nice.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad to be here.
Fantastic. Well, listen, we're very honored to have you here. We're very much looking forward to being able, just to learn about your journey and the experiences that you have, but also to be able to receive an education through your experience, because we know that, of course, wisdom is only acquired through experience. And we don't necessarily need to have that experience ourselves to be able to acquire that wisdom. So we're very much looking forward to everything you're going to be able to articulate. Now, Steffen, before we go into the book, let's hold off slightly. Let's start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Well, I was born in Brazil and grew up in Brazil from Swiss parents. And later on, when I was 19, I went to Switzerland to study engineering. Turned to Brazil after the studies and worked for 12 years in Brazil. And then I went back to Switzerland and lived there for the rest of my life, actually, before I moved to the States. And the important thing is that in Switzerland, I met my wife, a very dear wife, and we had 55 years of wonderful, wonderful marriage. And I'm very, very thankful for having had that.
Absolutely.
Well, this is roughly what I did. I was a mechanical engineer, but I always liked writing very much. And I wrote quite a lot. I never published anything. This is my first published work. But I have always been writing something, some short stories and things. And but what made me start to really writing was when I lost my wife 3.5 years ago.
Oh,
I
so
was a
sorry.
complete loss, and I didn't know how to carry on and so on. So when I finished all the bureaucratic stuff connected with her death, I took my car and I went away without any plan, traveling around and trying to sort my thoughts and my feelings. And I ended up in the Oregon coast in a very nice motel with a room with a view to the ocean. And in the room I had a fireplace. It was very cozy, and it was raining like hell. I couldn't go out practically. So I started to write on those years that we are traveling, and I was writing for myself. And then suddenly I thought, well, this could be interesting for my children and grandchildren too. So I started to work a bit carefully on that. And later on, I thought, and my family supported me on that perhaps that would be interesting for lots of other people too. So I decided to go for publishing the work. I think this is roughly what I have to tell about myself.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for articulating that. And, Steffen, first and foremost, my apologies and my condolences, of course, on the passing of your wife. But what a beautiful way.
Thank you very much.
What a beautiful way to really remember her. And what a wonderful gift that you have given to her memory by comprising this book. I mean, that is absolutely gorgeous. And listen, there's going to be a lot of women that are going to be jealous out there when they hear about this. And there's going to be a lot of men that are very envious for you doing this and putting the pressure on them. So fantastic. Steffen, without further ado, let's jump right in. Around the World in 12 Years in 12 Square Meters. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, well, the book is divided in two parts. The first part, I tell how we came to that idea. Actually, we had this idea when we were not even engaged. We thought of sometime doing that, and finally, when I was retired, we could do that. And it's divided into two parts. The first part is telling about how we came to this idea, telling a little bit about ourselves, and then explaining how we prepared ourselves for the trip, how we got the right vehicle, the right setup inside the vehicle, and so on, and the size of the vehicle, all that, and the problems we had, what we could do best later on, and so on. It was all there. In the second part, there are 12 stories. There were the 12, I think, most interesting parts of our travels. And I also included 3 fables. And perhaps I should explain why I include those fables. When you travel so long, sitting together all the time, and seeing all things together and appreciating it and discussing it and so on, you have a lot of time to talk. And the ideas that you develop, the ideas that you have to change yourself because of the experiences you are making, they are very important. They are very, very important part of those trips. But I didn't want to start telling things like a teacher in the school, And I also didn't want to press our own ideas to force them on other people and so on. I didn't know how to do that. And then I remembered I had read, so many people don't know this, but Leonardo da Vinci wrote several fables. And they are fantastic. And I thought, well, that is a good way to tell about our discussions, about our feelings, what we found out, and so on. So I decided to put some fables inside. I put 3 fables. And they actually tell our our ideas, our experiences, and what we learned during those trips. We also discussed a lot about our past life, what we did wrong, what we did well, and so on. And this is all in the fables. That's what the book is about.
Fantastic. I'm curious, Steffen. So, of course, in terms of this traveling, what inspired you and your wife to embark upon a 12-year journey around the world?
Well, this was an old dream from us. We were curious about the world. We loved traveling. My wife had a small child. She was already looking at the airplanes and dreaming of going around the world to see all the different countries and different peoples and so on. And I had the same idea. I was sitting on the beach and looking at the ships and thinking that would be wonderful to go around. And I read many books about traveling and Robert Louis Stevenson and all that. So the idea was enough, but we never really thought that we were going to be able to do that. But I could retire at 60, and then we had the time, and we had also the money to do that.
Guys, again, here on the line with Steffen P. Russak. We're discussing his fantastic book, Around the World in 12 Years in 12 Square Meters, Memories and Insights. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or directly through his personal site, aroundtheworldin12years.com. Now, Steffen, next concept that I'd love to go into, and thank you so much for everything that you've articulated for our listening audience so far. Now, I am someone that also, I've recognized a lot of benefit in traveling. Now, I'm definitely a late bloomer when it comes to traveling. Didn't do it so much when I was growing up, but in my later years, and definitely recently, I've been traveling a lot more, and not only traveling here in the States, but also traveling internationally. And again, I have my own personal view on it and the benefits that come along with traveling. Now, of course, this interview is not about me. It's about you. So rather than me articulating my perspective, let me ask you, articulate to our listening audience, what are some tips or words of wisdom that you can relay to our listening audience, really, in terms of just the benefit of traveling?
I think the most important thing is that you go out with an open mind, that you don't judge. I have seen many people traveling around, and they are not appreciating anything. They are just criticizing, comparing what they see, comparing the countries with each other, comparing the countries as their own, and this sort of thing. I think the most important thing is you don't do that. You just go and look at the country and try to understand it. What we did, we got some insight into the history of the country, into the geography, so that we could understand better why that country came to that situation that they had now. Good or bad, what's the reason behind all that? And I think this is the important thing, that you go with an open mind and you try to understand the people. Don't judge. Don't just try to understand what you're seeing. And this other thing is you have to have a positive set of mind. You should really try to enjoy it, try to appreciate, try to see the beautiful things, because everywhere there are beautiful things. People sometimes ask me which was your favorite country, right? What was your favorite thing on this trip? And I always say, I can't say that. I don't know. Every country, every place, every area has its own characteristics, and it has its good things and its bad things, and you have to take it as it is.
Absolutely.
I think this is the important thing.
Wonderful words of wisdom, Steffen, and I completely agree. I mean, that's what I think is so powerful and so impactful about your book
Yeah.
is it's not just your experience of you traveling the world. Of course, that is what the main focus of the book is. And we've already established how beautiful that is, right? But then the underlying message to be pulled and taken from it is exactly that point of view. The understanding of other people, of other countries, of other cultures is something that I think a lot of time gets forgotten. And, you know, just relaying it back here to the States and to our particular country here, I mean, we know that as of late, there's been an immense amount of social unrest in the country. And there's a huge amount of political division. Now, we're not going to go into politics, and we're not going to go into the social unrest that has been happening as of late. You guys know what I'm talking about, so you can understand. But I think the biggest disconnect on why those things are happening is because it's gotten to a point where people have stopped trying to understand the other side. And there's become this belief now that because I don't agree with you, I don't even want to try to understand you. And I think we're doing each other a huge disservice by doing that.
Yes, we are.
Guys, this planet and the human race.
No, I agree with that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's so important what Steffen is saying right now is whenever you travel to these places, you can't go in with preconceived notions. You can't go in with preconceived judgments. Leave that all aside. You go in there with an open mind and you truly understand people.
Yeah. And you know, Benji, we found out that we would say about 90% of humankind is good. They are good people, normal people. They are hospitable. They are friendly. They are interested in everything. About 5% are really bad.
Absolutely.
They are really bad persons. And about another 5%, they are saints. They are, but the 90% is what counts, you know. And this is very important. And I'm sure without that, humankind would have not survived. You can only live if you are mostly good and decent. I mean, everybody has problems.
Of course.
But nobody's perfect. But basically, this 90% of humanity is good.
Absolutely.
That's what we found out. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and Steffen, listen, as we start to tie up this fantastic interview, I know you said that you've been asked a number of times if there was a particular favorite location that you traveled to, and you weren't able to really give a favorite because there's so many great things about everywhere that you've gone. So let's switch it up slightly. In terms of either A, you're traveling, or B, this book and comprising it and putting it all together, what would you say was a highlight for you? Or if not a highlight, maybe something that surprised you that you weren't expecting prior to embarking upon your journey?
You know, in the book, I have I talk about the Namaqualand desert flowers. It's a spectacle that happens every year regularly, and it's something amazing. It's in the book, and I wrote there that this is a candidate to be the highlight of the trip.
Fantastic.
That is in South Africa, on the border to Namibia, and it's something fantastic. But it's in the book. Yeah. It's really amazing.
Beautiful. Guys, there you have it. There you have it. I mean, what more can be said? So many fantastic experiences, and we've barely scratched the surface through this interview. Listen, we can talk about this for hours. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So you know what you got to do.
Okay.
Head on over to Amazon, head on over to Barnes & Noble, go directly to his personal site, aroundtheworldin12years.com, and pick up your copy. This is such a fantastic journey that you can embark upon with Steffen, and then hopefully it inspires you to embark upon your own journey with your significant other, with yourself, or with your loved ones around you. So let's grow, let's develop, and let's start with this fantastic book, Around the World in 12 Years in 12 Square Meters, Memories and Insights by Steffen P. Russak. Steffen, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
And I thank you very much for this fantastic interview. I loved it.